Kindness is something I had a revelation of during the pandemic of operating with a conscious sensitivity,
Mm.
the awareness that we bring so much to any given moment and that we have the power to really think before we speak or act. Um, it's so cliche and so simple, and yet it's hard for a lot of people to do that, to engage a conscious sensitivity, which again equals kindness to me. Because if
Mm.
you can believe and understand that everyone has a lot that they bring to any given moment, and that their response to something is not necessarily in response to you or that circumstance, but all that they've experienced in their life that they're bringing to that moment,
Yeah.
you can know how to engage with kindness. I'm trying not to get emotional,
No,
but
it's okay.
my meditation, there's a meditation book I use by Joan. Oh, I literally was reading it the other day to make sure I got her last name. It's like a a long last name. Uh, but it uses different practices and points of view. And it advised that in building your altar, you put a picture of like an ancestor or somebody on there who
Mm.
like guides you and covers you. And my dad just died in October. And so
Oh, I'm
there's a
sorry.
picture I found of him that is my favorite picture. Like I'd never seen this picture before. And so it sits on my altar now. And I really like breathe into him and carry him in everything that I do and that I am. And along with crystals and Palo Santo and
Mm.
sage and but that is like the primary thing that really grounds me there.
Mm.
There was a moment where she said growing up that like God spoke to her and was like, "You're gonna beat out of him what I put in him." In the
Mm.
disciplining of me, she had to physically and figuratively take her hands off of me and parent me differently, understanding that there were gifts, that there were things about me that if her and my father kept parenting me and disciplining me the way they were, I would be a different human.
Mm.
And so I'm grateful for her listening to that intuition and that instinct to be like, all right, I gotta release what I think is parenting and how I think is best to really let this being become.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, and that was also handed down from her mother, my grandma, who I mean, just loved me so purely and
Mm.
so honestly. And we just had this beautiful connection that is, I mean, something I cherish. And I'm grateful that I had that space. You have to engage that vulnerability and trust your instinct. There were so many moments of creating that show that made me have to look in the mirror and stand firm in who I am
Mm.
as an individual and as an artist, and to speak up, to advocate for yourself. It was very clear that a lot of people had so many perceptions of, men in dresses and all of these things and trying to get ahead of, well, why are we doing something like that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. We do
Mm.
need to know why we're doing anything, but also give things the chance to be. And so as scary as it was, there were moments where I had to say to the creative team, hey, 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 I'm confident being the artist and the human that I am. So let's not be concerned about the outside voices and the noise. Let's
Mm.
create art that causes conversation and be okay with that. It was the beauty of that experience with something like a hot at the stage door. There were so many moments where baby boomers who loved the original movie were like, "Oh, your gender fluid journey was so like they
Yeah.
fully expressed to me that they could understand just a little bit better humanity." And
Mm.
that was the intention of why I did the project to begin with, to be a mirror to people. Again, identifying as a non-binary person, walking through the world, it is interesting to see how people will conditionally respond to me.
Mm.
If I have facial hair, if I have a dress on, and how they will still conditionally call me sir or he or whatever.
Mm.
Or if I have on makeup, then they automatically assume a feminine. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter how I present. If I tell you a certain thing, honor me for what I tell you. Something I encourage and I need to re-engage in myself is, again, when you see something, say something.
Mm.
I love when you see an outfit and you're like, yes, shoes, yes, bag, yes, hair. Like, give somebody that encouragement. Like, it will lift your day and do something for them as well. And then they can pass that on and then it becomes like contagious.
Yeah.
Um, and it makes you have to be vulnerable and connect. But I find myself again, like you said, our brains, we want to change. And like I walking down the street, I will look to try to like make eye contact with people. And I
Mm.
try to stop myself, but I'm like, no, make the eye contact and then smile. And then if there's something about them that like really sparks, like give them a little like, yes, sis, love the glasses,
Yeah.
love the nail.